Hey everyone, Tom Miller here from Leaders Building Leaders, and we are talking about chapter 18 of Todd Whitaker's great book, What Great Principals Do Differently. And chapter 18 is about dealing with negative staff members, negative or ineffective staff members. And I'm only going to talk about a few aspects here because I've got a million leadership landmines here for you. But I would say I loved what Todd talked about, especially in terms of faculty meetings, having conversations with teachers about anything that you wouldn't allow in your classroom shouldn't be allowed here at the faculty meeting. Yet me as a principal and as a consultant, and I've spent 17 plus years now in education, man, adults are the worst audiences in terms of faculty meetings. Now, that takes me back to my current job as a consultant, coach, and speaker. I've learned that there's no such thing as bad audiences. There's only bad speakers. So, interesting to combine these two aspects, right? So, what is really important is that an organization has cultural norms, right? We have norms for our meetings, and those norms might be phones away, laptops away, whatever that might be, anything that can distract great conversation, discussion, and action towards what matters most, right? School improvement. And then on the other side, the principal needs to make sure that they are engaging and the meetings are impactful. And they're not just reading through memos that really only impact 20% of the adults sitting there, right? Because either they didn't read it, or maybe it is only for them, right? It's only for certain people. Maybe people who teach science, or people who teach in the middle school, whatever that may be. So there's two aspects here that you have to remember before you even start to engage the ineffective staff members. But I just love the faculty meeting thought process in a sense of creating norms, right, and making sure that teachers and staff, whoever's at those meetings, understand it. Anything you wouldn't allow in your classroom certainly does not happen here in these staff meetings. Now, leadership landmines about dealing with ineffective teachers. There's no bigger one than when I was, I believe, in my second year as a principal, second full year. We had a science class that went through, I'm not lying, we went through 4 teachers that year, not including myself. I was the 5th. And I shouldn't be teaching science because I'm really not smart at all. The kids were way smarter than I was. But we had our teacher who started the year, and she left at the end of the first quarter to take a job at a traditional school. Then we hired someone who didn't last 10 days. It was an internal candidate who was definitely not ready for the position, and that was my fault that she was placed there. And then we had a substitute for a while, and in between a substitute was me, right? So then we had me, then a substitute, then I had a long, lengthy hiring, try to find somebody, and we had 3 candidates, and one was really good in terms of her content knowledge, and just a strong figure in a 7th grade classroom. Yeah, and she made it all the way to May, and maybe 2 weeks before the end of school, I just finally addressed what I should have addressed 5 months prior, and that was her ineffectiveness in terms of impacting school culture. She was not doing her duty. She was not participating in staff meetings. She was kind of abrupt, right? She didn't have a very strong attitude towards other human beings, it seemed like. The students complained about her a lot, but there was definitely learning going on. She was a solid content teacher, right? She was all those things as a principal. You're like, she's cleaned up the mess. She's cleaned up the mess. But what I learned to my sorrow is that because I did not address the negative staff member, I was losing credibility with all of my other staff members, and she was just leaving a giant wake behind her. And then here's a leadership landmine. Ready? Make sure you write this down. When you avoid crucial conversations, because they're challenging, right? And they can be hurtful. When you avoid them, they don't get less hurtful or less impactful. They actually like grow to this giant blob of a problem. So, because I was not responsive and preparing and repairing as things were going on, then I just let her go on a random Thursday morning when her students were 15 feet away waiting for her to open the door for homeroom. Yes, honestly, I did this. I am please learn from me. It's not a good idea to let somebody go on a Thursday morning, no matter how much of a not a nice person they are and what they've maybe done to the school culture. That problem was me. I was the problem of the school culture, not necessarily her. So, because I didn't deal with ineffective staff at the very, very beginning when I had the signs, and I didn't continue to get into the class and give feedback and have those critical conversations, that conversation was the worst conversation you ever want to have. So Whitaker's got a lot of great action steps and a lot of great thoughts in here, but I'm telling you, don't be like me. Don't be like me. Go have that conversation. They never get easy, right? Doesn't matter how many times you've had it, but when you build that trust and rapport, because I guarantee you that if I would have told her how her actions were impacting everybody else in the school, I do believe in my heart that she would have made efforts to change, and we would have had better systems in place, especially for mentoring her. Despite she had 10 plus years, I should have found other avenues for her in working with her abruptness, because it wasn't necessarily her inability to teach. It was her inability to work with other people. And you can't have a successful school if you don't have the ability to work with other people. But that's your job as the principal. So, hope this leadership landmine, massive explosion, makes you think a little bit the next time that you avoid one of those crucial conversations, or avoid having that conversation with someone who is not as effective as you would like them to be. And I encourage you to do so. And I encourage you to look at other options as well, because when you get so upset, you just make bad decisions, right? You just become dumb when you're defensive, and that was me. I was dumb, and a lot of people got hurt in the wake. So, hope this was helpful. Reach out anytime if you want to talk more about leadership landmines, because I have many of them. Thanks, everybody, and have a great day.